Hey, this is Carl with another SOP video for managed service providers. Today I want to talk about the biggest asterisk in business, and that is the false belief that the customer is always right. Now, we say this and we know it's not true. If you think the customer is always right, that leads me to believe that you are failing in your business, that you are losing money, that you care more about your customers than you do about your employees, and that you will let a customer bankrupt you. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge believer in good customer service. But the bizarre belief that a customer is always right is just one of these phrases that people repeat again and again and again, and no one believes it. Let's start with the most basic elements of what we're talking about. You're in a service industry, which means, by definition, your clients pay you to tell them things they don't know. They pay you to do things that they do not have the skill level to do for themselves. In other words, left to their own devices, they would do it wrong. They would build things incorrectly. They would buy the wrong products. They would put them together the wrong way. They would expose their networks to all kinds of problems because they don't know what they're doing. So they cannot be right about the technology. They can't be right about how you implement it. They can't be right about the way things should be for optimal use of their own systems. So let's start with the premise that the customer knows less than you, or they wouldn't have hired you. Okay? So I'm not saying they're wrong for hiring you, but they don't have the knowledge to do what you do, or they would be in this business instead of whatever business they're in. So we'll start with that. Second, it's very important that you realize that when we talk about customer service, it is the interface between your business and their business. And there needs to be an agreed upon relationship. You know, one of the things that they call the tools for this is customer relationship management. Sometimes the people who have the job of customer service are customer relationship managers or agents. When I call someone, an airline, anybody, and I have a problem, I need it to be resolved, but I shouldn't be a jerk about it. I shouldn't be unreasonable about it. I should say, here's what's going on. Here are the circumstances under which I bought a ticket or did whatever and put myself in this situation. And here's what I would like to have the outcome be. Now, I'm only on the phone because I couldn't fix this myself. Now, let's take a look at how that looks in IT. A customer calls and says, I was expecting this, but I got that. They need to be willing to say, here's how I got myself in this situation, right? And here's what I expect to come out of it. More times than I would like to admit, we have had clients who were not polite or even professional with our consultants. And in my business, you have a one strike and you're out policy. I literally just tell people, if you are rude to my employees, I will fire you and you will go away and somebody else will give you tech support. You don't get to pull the card of saying, I'm the customer and I'm right. Because too often there's a certain group of people who think that that means that they can be rude and abusive. And in the long run, if you want to make money in your company, you need to support your employees over your clients. Now, there's got to be an appropriate balance. If the employee is wrong, if you are wrong, if your company is wrong, by all means, you have to support the client. But the client can't make unreasonable demands and expect you to kiss their behind. I have a friend one time who kind of got full of himself. He had, 10,000 followers on Twitter. And he went to the office supply store and he bought a closeout item, and then he couldn't get it to work with the latest version of Windows. The reason it was on closeout is that it's outdated and it's never going to work with the latest version of Windows. But he went on Twitter and whined and complained and said, oh, this is a piece of junk and this company doesn't stand behind their products and all this kind of stuff. And they sent him a new product that did work with the latest version of Windows. And I told him flat out, Dave, you are being unreasonable, you are being childish, and this is exactly what gives customer service a bad reputation. You have to have reasonable expectations as a client or a customer, and you have to have reasonable expectations as a business owner. It is okay to say there's a line and we will do everything we can to make you happy within that line, within reason. But the customer is always right. That lie leads people to do stupid things that are not in the best long-term interest of their own company. Again, I think I give great customer service. When people ask for stuff, we try to get back to them immediately. I have an email that goes to every single person who is employed or a subcontractor for me, and whoever can help the fastest does so. If there's a doubt, everybody who works for me has the ability to spend a certain amount of money to just solve a problem instantly and make it go away. The customer is extraordinarily important. They're central to what we do. We're in a service industry and we serve people. But sometimes the customer is wrong. Sometimes people are abusive. Sometimes people try to rip you off. Sometimes people pay for a little and they want a lot, and they think the difference is customer service. Running your business in an unprofitable manner is not good customer service. A good customer will say, of course, this is going to cost me money. Of course, we'll pay the change fees. Of course, we made a change and we're willing to pay for that. That's a good customer. So good customer service is all about having excellent expectations and meeting them. And yes, you might choose to exceed them a little here and there. But don't get carried away with this concept that the customer is always right. Customers are very frequently wrong. You know, in other videos, in other conversations, many of you have told me stories about customers who want to buy a $99 router and they have no reason that they would ever pay $3,000 for a router. They only need antivirus on the day that they have a problem. They only need anti-spam on the day that they're getting spam. They only need to buy cybersecurity after the Russians have already broken into their system. Those people are wrong. And it's okay to say the customer is not always right. If they were always right, they would be your competition, not your customers. So the bottom line is you need good customer service, but you don't need unreasonably good customer service. The customer is often wrong. They might be the single most important thing in your business, but you know what? They also might not be. If you disagree with me, please argue with me. Please put respectful comments down below, and I'll be happy to respond to them. In the meantime, give it a thumbs up, like it, share it, and make sure that you subscribe to this channel so you get updates whenever we post a new video. For Small Biz Thoughts, this is Carl Palachuk, wishing you the best of luck in your managed service business.